What's up, everybody? Jay here from Tap and Turn Gaming, coming at you today with a little video to discuss some information about the upcoming release of Amonkhet, which is the next Magic set to be released in April, towards the tail end of that month. So we're going to take a look at a couple things. There have been some spoilers trickling out on the interwebs as of late about Amonkhet. The main things we're going to look at here today are the new keywords or abilities, and then we're also going to look at this set's version of masterpieces. So Wizards of the Coast has done some pretty interesting things with the quote-unquote masterpieces from this set, which are actually called something different, but we'll get into that once we get to that section of the video. So let's start off with some of the new keywords that are going to be in the set. So here is a new card from Amonkhet called Trueheart Duelist. So, you know, it's a 2-cost 2/2 human warrior, and it can block an additional creature each combat. That's all fine and good. But now we have this new keyword ability called Embalm. So actually, if you hover over this, it shows you the creature token that this makes. So basically, Embalm is kind of like a better version of Unearth from Shards of Alara. So what Embalm does, for 2 and a white, you can exile this card from your graveyard, then put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of Trueheart Duelist, except it's a zombie in addition to its other types. It doesn't say it on here, but from what I've read, every creature that becomes embalmed is a white zombie in addition to its other types. The tokens are always white, which is kind of interesting because usually you would think a zombie would fall under black mana. But apparently in this set, every creature that you embalm will be a white creature token when it hits the board. So essentially it's just a better version of Unearth. So Unearth from Shards of Alara let you pay a cost to bring the creature itself out of your graveyard back to the board, but then it would get exiled at the end of your turn, or if it would leave play before that point. So this is a little bit better. It doesn't bring the actual card back to the board. It just brings a token that's a copy of the card, but it is white and it's a zombie in addition to its other colors and types. Well, actually, not in addition to its colors. It's just a white zombie. But the creature type zombie gets tacked on. So as you can see here, this is the creature token for this card. So it's a token creature zombie human warrior, and it's a 2/2 with the same ability. So it's a little interesting, I guess. I mean, I think I've voiced my, I wouldn't say disdain, but it kind of irks me a little bit when Wizards just rehashes old abilities. I mean, this is more or less just Unearth, just a little bit better. So that is Embalm. You know, it's not a terrible ability whatsoever. But, you know, again, I feel like it's just a rehashed Unearth. So that's our first keyword. Our second one is going to be on this card right here, which is Glorybringer. So Glorybringer is a 5-cost 4/4 red dragon via 3 and 2 red. It has flying and haste, and it says you may exert Glorybringer as it attacks. When you do, it deals 4 damage to target non-dragon creature an opponent controls. It doesn't have the rule texting here on this page, but I have read up on it. Basically, if you exert a creature, any creature that has the ability to be exerted, this one, for instance, when it attacks, so if you move to your combat step, if you attack with this card, you have to also announce that you're either going to exert it or not exert it. So that's something that you do have to declare as you're declaring attacks with this card, for instance. I'm not sure if exert is going to be just directly tied to a creature attacking. Maybe you could just exert a creature while it's just sitting there on the board. But basically, when you exert a creature, it doesn't untap during your next untap phase. So, well, actually, during your next turn, it doesn't untap from what I've read. So if you were to attack with this card and you decided to exert it on your next turn, this card would not untap. So it's, you know, I don't think we've really seen something like this particularly before, but, you know, it's kind of the same as, like, spells that will do something and then say, oh, well, this creature doesn't untap during your next untap phase, or, you know, things of that nature. So, I mean, it's not really something brand new that we've, you know, never seen before. I mean, there have been cards printed, like, I can think off the top of my head, some blue cards, like, I can't remember the names of them off the top of my head at the moment, but they, like, tap creatures down and then make it so that they don't untap during your next untap phase. Frost Titan is something that I actually just thought of. You know, when he comes in or he attacks, you know, you can tap something down and then it doesn't untap during that controller's next untap step. It's kind of similar to that, except, you know, it ties directly to the creature that it's on. So when you exert a creature, it will, you know, grant you some sort of benefit, and then it won't untap during your next turn. So we've yet to see any more cards with this ability, but this card overall is pretty nice. You know, a 4/4 flying haste dragon for 5 mana is not terrible at all. And then being able to shoot something for 4 damage that's not a dragon, if you decide to exert it, is pretty damn good. So, alright, and next up, we're going to take a look at this card right here, which was the initial leak for the set. So the story behind this card, from what I've read online, is that a player bought a booster box of Modern Masters 2017 and had this Amonkhet rare in their Modern Masters 2017 booster pack that they opened. Apparently that's not an unheard of thing. I believe Wizards of the Coast has gone on record saying that, you know, things like that do happen sometimes, where they, you know, use the same machine to print multiple different sets, and then sometimes maybe the machine gets jammed, or, you know, a page, you know, ends up in the wrong place, and then a card like this ends up in the wrong booster pack. I'm not sure the exact details, but that's kind of the gist of what I've read for where this leak came from. But anyways, the card is Dusk/Dawn, so it's kind of a split card, but not really. Just off the bat, I'm going to get this out of the way. I hate how this card looks. I don't like the orientation of it at all. I don't like how this part of the card is upright and then this part of the card is sideways. But I understand why they did it, so let's go over the card. So Dusk, part of the card, which is this right here, costs 2 and 2 white for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures with power greater or equal to 3. So basically a board wipe. And then you have the part Dawn, which has the keyword Aftermath. So it says, cast the spell only from your graveyard, then exile it. Return all creature cards with power less than or equal to 2 from your graveyard to your hand. So basically the reason why, I mean, from what I can gather just by looking at it and then looking at what the ability does, Aftermath. So this part of the card is what you would cast while it's in your hand. So you cast it, then it goes to the graveyard. So I gather when it goes to your graveyard, you turn the card sideways like you were tapping a creature, so that this part of this card is now facing upright and it's kind of sticking out of your graveyard, so that you remember that it's there, so that you know you have a card with Aftermath in your graveyard that you can cast from your graveyard. So it's kind of like Flashback, I guess. You know, it's essentially just like Flashback. I mean, Flashback lets you cast a card from your graveyard for that cost, and then you exile it. I mean, this card is basically the same thing, except it has a different a different effect, a different part of the card, but it's essentially like flashback. You cast it from your graveyard, then you exile it. So, I mean, it's really nothing that we haven't seen before. It's essentially a flashback split card for the most part. And then the last card we're going to look at is this one here, Oracle's Vault. So this card is a 4-cost artifact where you can pay 2 and tap it. Exile the top card of your library. Until end of turn, you may play that card. Put a brick counter on Oracle's Vault. So that's a new type of counter for Amonkhet, or brick counters. And then you can also tap it, exile the top card of your library. Until end of turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. Activate this ability only if there are 3 or more brick counters on this. So, the reason why I wanted to show this off is just because it showcases a new type of counter. So I would imagine, this set is Egyptian themed. Back in the ancient days of Egypt, the pyramids were built. So I would imagine that, that's kind of the theme that they're going for here, is like cards like this. You're essentially building. You're building what's pictured on this card, and then once you've built it completely, then you get a much bigger benefit out of the card. So I mean, looking at the card, it's definitely not bad. You get to pay 2, tap it, and exile the top card of your library, and then play it. So essentially, you can have an extra card in your hand for the most part. You do have to invest that 2 mana to exile it, but you also take the risk of exiling like a card that you can't cast, and then it's exiled forever. So you definitely want to have a decent amount of mana floating around in your mana pool. And I'm looking at this from an EDH standpoint, obviously. So, I could see this card being pretty good in Commander, especially once you get those 3 brick counters on it. Then you can just simply tap it and exile the top card of your library, and then just play it for free. So that playing cards for free is always a nice thing. So. But that's Oracle's Vault, and that's about all that we've seen for like the new kind of keywords / counters for this upcoming set. So the last thing that we want to take a look at, which I mentioned at the top of the video, was this set's version of Masterpieces. So let's take a look at that. So these are them here, and there's more towards the bottom of the page. So we're going to go over those right now. So these cards are called Invocations. So they're essentially just like Masterpieces or Expeditions or whatever you want to call them. They're premium foil cards that, you have a very slim chance of getting in each booster pack. I believe they've said pulling one of these is about the same ratio as pulling a mythic rare in foil in a booster pack. So, the chances are slim, but they're there. And there's some pretty solid cards in this lot of cards. So I know that some of these are kind of difficult to see, and that's kind of one of the gripes that I have about these, is that I know they're going heavy on an Egyptian theme, but some of these, like the text boxes, are kind of hard to read, at least for me anyway. So this one obviously is Containment Priest, which was a card printed in a Commander precon, I believe it was. So it's nice to see that, reprinted in the actual set. But, you have Containment Priest, Divert, Spell Pierce, Stifle, Attrition, which is the one I like. Then we have Diabolic Intent, Entomb, Aggravated Assault, Austere Command, Daze, Mind Twist, Force of Will, that's a really nice one. Vindicate, Dark Ritual, Loyal Retainers, that's probably going to be a money one. Worship, Cryptic Command, that's a good one. Chain Lightning, Aven Mind Sensor, Pact of Negation, Counterspell, Counterbalance Counterspell, Consecrated Sphinx, Maelstrom Pulse, and Wrath of God. So those are all the quote-unquote invocations. So first off, let me say that there are some really nice cards being reprinted here. You know, Containment Priest, I know, was at one point like a $10 card. You know, Spell Pierce, Stifle, Daze, Austere Command is a nice one. Entomb, Loyal Retainers is going to be a real nice one. Vindicate, Force of Will. You know, the list goes on. There's some really nice reprints in here. I do have some gripes about these, though. One of which I've already said. I really don't like how they did the text on these, and I get why they did it. Like, they're going like all in on this Egyptian theme, so I completely understand the direction they were going. Just for me personally, I just don't really enjoy the way that they look. Some of these texts are really hard to read for me. Some of them more easier than others I can read, but some of the shorter names, like they try to mix in the text for the card, like in with these Egyptian symbols. And sometimes the text kind of gets lost in between, at least to my eyes. You know, some other people might like the way that these look, like the text. Also, the mana symbols are all just one generic color. They did put little colors on the sides of these little like columns on the sides of the card. So, for instance, Containment Priest is white, so the columns are white. Divert is blue, hence why they're blue. I don't know if there were any green cards. Doesn't look like there's any green cards. I see white, blue, black, and red. I don't see any green ones, though, so that's a little interesting. Actually, Maelstrom Pulse is partially green, but that's they put that as gold, obviously. So, but yeah, I mean, I like some of these cards that are getting reprinted. I don't necessarily enjoy the way that they designed the borders and the text and all that. Me personally, I don't like it. Maybe I'll change my mind if I actually get the opportunity to open one of these in a booster pack. Maybe, you know, the fact that it'll be foil, and seeing it in person, maybe I'll like the look of it a little better, but looking at these images here, I'm not feeling it. I'm just personally not feeling these cards, at least the way that they're designed. But, I mean, that's about it for this video, guys, so, you know, let me know what you think in the comment section down below the video. You know, let me know if you are liking those invocations, like the way that they're designed. I personally do not, but maybe some of you do. You know, let us know in the comment section below. If you did enjoy this video, crush that thumbs up button. It really does help out a lot. The more you guys thumbs up the video, the easier it is, rather, for other people to find it on YouTube. And if you're not already subscribed to Tap and Turn Gaming, please crush that subscribe button. We really, really do appreciate it. But yeah, that about wraps up everything here. So definitely, you know, leave us some comments down in the comment section. We really like to read your comments and suggestions and your thoughts on you know, these new cards and whatnot. Didn't really go over. There are some other cards in the spoilers, but a lot of them are just commons. I mean, nothing really special to look at, plus some reprints. So, you know, nothing too crazy to look at. You know, if something pops up, like a brand new mythic or a brand new rare or something like that, you know, we'll bring you another video of some more spoilers / information about this upcoming set. But that's about everything for this video. So again, thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, leave us some comments, and click that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to Tap and Turn Gaming. But this has been Jay. Hope everybody enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you later. Thanks a lot for watching.